thought you all had wonderful sleeves and yeah.
Okay, gentlemen.
Just gonna take a few minutes and be with you. For me, it's my way of getting grounded and just being with each present. It's a way of I bringing myself present. And it's real, for me, it's real grounding just to share the love. My heart is just pounding, and I know it will quieten down as I get myself present. Gathering a little bit, and that's fine. People will be coming and going. But I think to start doing it home, bringing the vibrations, the sound in. Troy's maybe going to guide us in this one, and doing our 3 ohms. Yeah, just to bring in before I start.
So it's a really good process to just vocalize the group in the morning or before the day begins. Or your own day begins each day, and make your own sound or inner silent sound with yourself. And just imagine even that sound moves with thoughts alone. It's very coherent for your daily activity and where you're going. So let us maybe as a group sort of synthesize or see ourselves as whole, as one, and take a few breaths together. Marilyn Ferguson calls breathing together conspiring together. So in one of her books, and so if we could conspire together a little bit and breathe together at this moment, and then in that breath, let's just take a few breaths and relax and be here. And we've had our breakfast, a lot of sleep, and let go of the dreams. Just be totally here, now. Be aware of the breaths. Take a few breaths. And think of where we are, this beautiful building, where we are in the land, in Bragg Forks, where we are as people and souls. And imagine then that our hearts and our minds are synthesized or at one with our soul. We work together. As we do so, imagine that you are the soul. The symbol of the soul has been looked upon as either a radiating sun or a flat-pointed star. You can imagine one of those two energies coming from our heart, seeing the mind and seeing the soul all as one. Let's do the ohms together.
look at sacred geometry and symbology, and how the model came about, a little bit of a story behind it. Sean and Esther invited me to house sit for them through the winter, and it was coming into January, and being in the little house in the center here. I knew cabin fever would set in if I didn't have something to focus on, so I chose to make a model. I thought I was building a model of a house, something that I may build this springtime. And it kind of started off as 3 modules, 3 hexagons. And that was my intention, but it kept growing and growing and growing. And then one morning I found myself with a little saw in my hand, and cutting out some of the structure and restructuring it. And I said, what am I doing? And the voice, and he said, so you thought you were building a house, eh? So from there on, I had been automatic writing and drawings for some time. And from there on, the model just has a life of its own and an energy of its own. That's really what I want to share with you. This energy that has come to be with the model, and if the model gets built. There's still things I'm learning and understanding about it. I don't have all the answers. And that's okay. I know it is part of my process. More information is constantly coming. The principle of it was set on 7 hexagons around, 1 in the center and 6 others around it. When I look at the number 7 in the native way, 7 is the turtle that spreads over North America. You have the head and the tail, the 4 legs, and the heart. So it's a very sacred number from the native understanding. There's also 7 poles in each of the 6 sides of it. So again, that 7 number was repeated. Some numbers and numerology, and the building itself, although it's 7-sided, there's 6 of the longer sides and then 6 of the shorter sides here, shorter sides here. So it's a total of the 12-sided building. Symbology of fire, air, earth, and water. This is represented by the 6 reflecting poles, and a small fountain here, the water trickling down here to no longer have stagnant water, but flowing water. It was an important part of it. And on top of these 6 urns, there's to be 6 oil urns for 6 eternal flames burning. Other parts of it. The smaller sides, where the 6 entrances are, they're 3 meters wide and 3 meters high, about 9 foot 9 inches, and broken down into 3 windows across, 3 windows down. And for me, that was in my own thinking, I was often thinking in duality. third element is always the path with heart. You weren't out on left field or right field, but you were going the path with heart. You see it often in from ascending, descending, transcending. You often see it in past, future, present being the path with heart. Comes through in colors, the three primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. It comes through in positron, electron, neutron. So in all levels of our being, there's always that third element that for me I haven't been looking at. And it's a wonderful way to come into life is to acknowledge the polarities. But again, what is that third element that maybe I'm not seeing? It expands the duality into into a oneness. The two polarities are coming into one. The path with heart. And there's been great guidance, great guidance for me. Fire, air, earth, and water. But when I was building it, the cardboard that I used would represent river boulders like you see here. So the earth elements. The dowel rod would be peeled logs. And then a copper roof. Copper roof to it. And then they started giving further information. And this, that didn't trouble me, but it was, wow, what's this all about? And I wasn't sure. And I was told that when it's built, there would be some copper wires anchored in the foundations, coming up the sides, around the roofs, and then down the other side. These copper wires or copper tubes would be anchored in crystals in the foundations. So this, what's this all about? I wasn't sure. And starting to read a little more about the symbology of this. What it's creating is an infinity symbol, 6 of them around the building. And energetically, electromagnetic energies, I believe, are part of maybe activating something here. And I'm still not clear what that is. So I'm still in the journey, still in the process. Those parts that I ended up cutting out were poles in this part here. Poles from the center going up, and I had to restructure the roofs. He said, yeah. I asked why, and it's either to hang a crystal in there or have someone drumming. Because the earth energies are coming in. And so, coming up these poles, and the energies are guided in to a crystal or to a drummer, pulling the earth energies in. Just sitting with that as well.
Are you going to be closed in, please? Is it going to be closed in?
No, I believe it's to be glass. The open spaces are glassed in.
Whoa.
So there's quite a bit of glass to it.
Dave, I have a question. Were you coming up on the other side of your portal, up there with your copper wire for your infinity sign? Are you completing it and going back to the point of beginning on each one?
Yes. Each segment would be coming up, across, around the roof, down, and in this way.
In that way, but I mean, it wouldn't go across the bottom. It would just be
Yeah,
your own
it would
crystal.
be completed. No, sorry, it would be completed under the foundation.
It would be.
With the crystal. meditations on it. It's very much like a mandala. There's gifts given. There's energies given. There's reading of ancient knowledge. There's a lot of layers of information encoded here. So this morning I was going to take a guided meditation through it. And I know when I've done this in the past that sometimes ancient ones or your guides will come to you and give rather than you just talking of it. To me it's very important for you guys to have an experience of it, experientially. And yeah, sometimes information is given. You know, you'll meet your guides or ancient ones, whatever or sometimes just a message from someone that's passed on. It takes many shapes or it can come through in many different ways. So yeah, maybe just sitting comfortably. And you can either eyes open or eyes closed, whatever you're comfortable with. Just feel yourself connected to the earth. Conscious breathing, just watching the breath, quietening the mind. Slowly, just feel yourself walking around the building, just getting a sense of the energy that's radiating from this building. How does it feel? What is that for you? Where you're drawn to, hearing the trickling water of a reflecting pool. The smells of the plants, the chirping of the birds. birds come to visit. Saying no goodbyes. Walking. Walking. Through the staircase. Get a feel for the textures, the covers. Slowly making your way towards one of the doors. Hearing the birds chirping, the movement of the water. And slowly coming back into your body, wiggling your hands and toes whenever you're ready. Opening your eyes. Magical place. I'd like you maybe to turn to the person next to you and just share any real connection you had there, just to bring it more real. Just take a few moments and share any discoveries.
Well, I saw it being done when he built it. Yeah. We had a lot of fun talking about it, didn't we?
What's your sense of the actual dimensions of the structure?
Given the dimensions, it's about 60 feet in diameter and about 30 feet high.
60 feet.
30 feet, 60 feet high, sorry.
That's not big enough.
60 by 30 high.
Not including the Merkaba.
Including the
The
Merkaba.
Merkaba.
Yeah. This Merkaba, what we call parts of this, these windows that stake out on the top would be with counterbalances, so they would actually open up. And I have seen this Merkaba going down the main floor. Yeah, the Merkaba itself, we talk of Mother Earth, which is the triangle that points to the Earth. And we talk of Father Sky, and that's the triangle that points to the In the Merkaba, the male and the female spin in opposite directions. We all have a Merkaba field around us, waiting to be activated. It's about a foot above our head and about a foot below our feet. It's just at this point in time, Merkaba field. I'm not too well versed in this, but it's part of Merkaba Melchizedek's work, the flower of life. Jonathan had a question there. Have I envisioned it? I've seen it built on a mound, on a gentle slope, about 15-20 degrees, and a mound coming out of that slope. And around the mound, there's a creek coming down and going around it. And then the creek carries on. A fast-flowing creek. And around that, there's 3 bridges onto this mound. And on the outer side of the water, I've seen 12 homes built in similar crystalline structures. A lady in Nelson was curious about it. She kept dreaming of a building that was showing up in her dreams. She drew this building from her dreams, brought it along. It was the same structure, identical structure. There's a native healer down in Creston, Jerry Hunter, that when she saw the photographs of it, she said, "Oh, that's what it looks like from the outside." She'd been journeying to the inside of it that hadn't. So many people are seeing this. Some people have an ability to see it in another dimension, in the 4th dimension already built. There's a fellow in the Slocan Valley who has seen it hovering over his land, just ready to be dropped into place when the time's right. So I'm not clear if we actually need to build it in this dimension. It might be already there for us when we head over to the other side. And I'm not sure on that, but I'm still waiting for guidance. The model has a energy of its own. It asks to be taken from places. It will be going up to this fellow in the Slocan Valley for a short period of time, sitting on this property. It's endless. I can talk for hours, but it's important to have an experience of it. Any questions, or anyone want to share a learning experience from the journey you've made? Or any questions?
I actually think it's a temple of manifestation. And I think it's like I see it twice the dimensions like you're saying. And it's not necessarily a priestly caste, but it incorporates all of the elements that help to manifest in the physical dimension. And so I see tonal work being done, like 6 people above, 6 below, in their Om or tonal or whatever, and large courts in the center that they're focusing on.
Geometry and pure maths here. And Doug was asking for a portal site out in Moose Jaw. And I was given a vision of 2 longhouses. It's on native land. And it was 2 longhouses and a cross with 4 teepee shapes at the ends and a very large teepee in the center. So I know, depending on where the land is, the vibrations of the land, each will have their own unique characteristics, and that has to be listened to. the Romans do. It's, yeah, you got to respect the land where it's to be built.
Even when we were up in Grand Prairie to the homecoming up there last year and stuff, this area you're talking about with the mound and the creek and stuff turning around, it sounds a lot like that place. And there is a portal on that land.
At Grand Prairie.
Yeah, just on the other side of Grand Prairie going up towards this exit from that, almost sort of northeast. That sounds like with the little mound and stuff and the creek and that.
Yeah. When I was up in Nelson recently, I met some people and they were sharing the story. She said, "Oh, you need to meet Koji." Koji lives in the little Slocan River and has a 40-acre island right in the river. So, working with Koji is a possibility there. I don't know. It's still developing.
How about more than one? Maybe there's a number
There's
of
many.
locations.
There's many.
I saw a whole number of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Energy centers, healings, whatever it is to be. So thank you for your time.
David,
Thank you.
thank you.
Oh, yes, Jonathan.
Right away, I great fireplace in there. A lot of angel pottery stuff sandblasted there. Around it, great sweat.
So each of your visions that you've been given, they might be meaningful, maybe not today, but in a few weeks or months to come. And back to it. So thank you for your time.
And telephone number, as this starts around, it'll give you an opportunity, it'll give us something to do while we're waiting to take There are pens up here. Anyone who doesn't have one, you leave them here when you come on, when you leave.
Again? Oh, yes.
First, just to get an idea of where the group is, and so I can sort of gear myself possibly in that direction. Sometimes when I ask this question in a group, not with this particular focus, but sometimes when I ask this question, the group ends up splitting up and there's just an equal number of people in each group for the question, and so I have to cover everything anyway. But what I'd like to know is how many people here travel as a part of their work on a regular basis, that they're sort of the gypsies of the metaphysical movement and they're doing light work. Okay. And how many of you are in stationary communities, either as a store, as a community leader, or even as a home that you sponsor people to come into and do workshops and that kind of thing? Are there any of those people here? Okay. And how many of the people here are aspiring to be travelers or to be space holders?
Aspiring traveler.
Did you guys raise your hand for all three? Okay, fine.
Now how you get a group of
I'm not. Just kind of wanted to see where everybody was. I'm probably going to be up here a lot because I did make some notes. I have not made this presentation in this manner before. Usually when I've gone from one community to another, one home to another, one store to another, or one practitioner to another, it's been in the format of talking one-on-one. So I haven't really done this in a group setting before. But I want to give you some kind of a blurb about what I envision what it is that I'm doing. I consider myself a universal citizen, and that means not just confined to planet Earth, but definitely a part of a planet without borders. I know that there is, in every group and in every place that I've talked to people, there are some people who are very nationalistic and very against globalism. I don't look at it in the sense that most people are looking at globalism in that there's going to be one world government, they're going to be very oppressive and da-da-da-da-da. The way that I look at it is all of us living on the planet in peace and plenty, able to move about freely and go wherever it is that we choose to be on the planet and share whatever our gift is. And I truly believe that we're moving into a time when that's the way it is. I don't know how we get there. I do know that the more that I hold that vision and the more that other people hold that vision, the more it becomes a reality. And I see it every time I cross the border. I see it every time I walk into a store or into a group and there are people there from all different countries and their languages are all different and yet we're all doing the same thing. So I know it's happening. One of the ways that I have looked at it is, and I invite you all to take the same opportunity. There are so many indicators of end times and earth changes. I mean, they're all around us. There are movies that deal with it. There's books out, and even in our cushioned world of metaphysics, where we sort of censor what we read and censor what we look at and whatnot, it still sort of sneaks in. You know, there are these books that are there to inform us about bad guys, and so we read them, and then we have that information implanted in our minds because they're trying to tell us what's going on. I don't put myself away from that because I need to know what the consciousness of the rest of the planet is. At the same time, if I encounter something that is not in keeping with one world that is peaceful and loving and self-supporting and where everyone interacts and supports each other, I consciously overlay that picture with a picture of people being together and living together in peace. If I look at it from that sense, then I'm anxious for Armageddon to come. Because the definition of Armageddon is an end of life as we know it. And life as we know it, for the most part, is what's going on, as someone was saying yesterday, out there. So it's the traffic jams, it's the lack of respect for the planet, it's the lack of using holistic methods to do things, it's the dog eat dog, it's all that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to Armageddon because I want a world where we all live together and where I don't want our technology to go away. I love video cameras. I love computers. I love my car. I love my motorhome. I mean, I live in a home that operates on technology. And I love those things. At the same time, I think that we can use them consciously so that we're not harming the planet, so that we're not harming other people, and that they serve us. I don't think they would have been given to us to be taken away because it's like this is what's going to make a change in life as we know it. So I think that the more conscious we are about how we use these things, the more the other stuff will go away and those things will come into more conscious use. In that light, it's my intention to live in a time where those things are true, and I have chosen as my work a work that after everyone becomes a self-realized master on the planet, which I believe is very quickly approaching, I will still have a job. Because I really feel, and a job in the sense not necessarily of a way of earning income, but a way of sharing and a way of expressing what it is that's my gift. And I really feel that the time is rapidly approaching that everyone will be a self-realized master, so that means that they're all going to be well, and they're all going to have all the things that they need. So I wanted to have my work be something that they would still choose to have. And so my other work, other than helping to build a web of community, my other work is creating jewelry, it's creating art, and assisting people in that manner. Now, right now, I add a little bit more to that because I also do some diagnostic work with the creating of the jewelry. But when everyone is a self-realized master, they don't need to be diagnosed. I can still make them pretty jewelry. So that's my way of making. What do they call it out there in that world? They call it job insurance or job security. That's my way of creating job security for myself. I look at community as a place where everyone can have their own belief systems or their own, the things that they hold sacred, and not have those things infringe upon other people's, whatever other people hold sacred. They can live together with that. I think that this is something that this community represents, and I've been in other communities that seem to be able to do that. That you don't have to have a particular belief system or adopt a particular belief system in order to be in that community. And those are the communities that I have either worked with or become a part of. I've been to a lot of communities, and some of them, they're very nice. And in order to play there, you have to play in a particular belief system. I don't have a problem with that. It's just not where I choose to play. And so the ones that I will share with you and tell you about are ones that are basically all-encompassing. So most of them do have some rules. You know, some of them say, well, they have no drinking on the property, or they have no smoking on the property, or most of them, I would say all of them, no, most of them, they require or request that if you are an active drug user, whether it's marijuana or whatever, that you not join the community until you sort of let go of that one. And that's, all of those things are personal preferences, and what I've noticed is that the communities that don't have the addictions going seem to be operating a lot clearer than the ones that have these other things, because the other things seem to get in the way and gets muddled and more muddled and more muddled, and it doesn't work. The other thing that I think is necessary is that when we go into a community, particularly if you're going to be traveling and going into a community, you need to take something with you. Oftentimes, I feel you need to take something with you other than yourself. Yourself is a very valuable thing, and a lot of communities that are building definitely need yourself, because they need your brawn. You know, they need somebody to lift logs and move rocks and dig holes and all the stuff that comes with building a community. But there are other things that come with building a community that, at this point, the way our society works, they also need money. And you need money. I mean, if you're going to move from community to community, you need to be able to put gas in your vehicle. You need to be able to have clothes. You know, you're not sitting in one place, so you can't grow your cotton and weave your cloth and make your clothes, because you're not staying in one place to do that. So money is, as opposed to being this evil green thing that is the root of all evil, is simply an exchange of energy. It's an easy way to carry a symbol of your exchange of energy. And so if you're not going to bring brawn, and if you're not bringing materials, and if you don't have any of those things to bring to a community, either because you don't have them or you don't have the time, you can always bring the green stuff. Every community can use it. You know, they're not manufacturing their own solar panels. They're not, there is something that they will need to buy that they can use money for at this point. You know, when we switch over to where every community is totally self-sufficient and money is no longer a thing on the planet, then chances are that money won't be of value and you'll have to find some other way to represent your energy if you're not going to put it in bronze. But in the meantime, money is something that most communities can use, and it's also something that you want to use as you're moving from community to community. I'd like to address the concerns of, particularly as far as Infinite Adventures Ministry is concerned and the Lightworkers Brigade is concerned, the concerns and the benefits of the organization and what it is that the community want to know when you come to this, because every time I've gone into a community or a store, these are the things they seem to want to know. They want to know, first of all, the credentials of the person who's showing up to do work in their place. They want to know whether or not this person is qualified for whatever it is that they say they're doing, because basically they're sharing their client base with you. Whether it's the people who come into their community or people that they have worked with and sold things to or whatnot, they're sharing this with the traveling person. So they want to know that you can do whatever it is that you said you can do, that you're not just hung out a shingle and decided you're going to go on the road, and the reason that you're on the road is because you're one step ahead of people finding out that you don't know what you're doing. So they're very concerned about that. They're very concerned about your integrity, about whether or not you're going to show up when you say you're going to show up. You know, if you get there and you say, oh yes, I'm going to do 10 workshops, and you know, I have all these grandiose plans and these are the way they're going to be, and then you wander off one night and they've got 20 people sitting in their living room the next day, and you're gone. This is another concern that they have. They want to be sure that the people are going to do what they say they're going to do. And the other thing is, when you go into a community, these people have spent their time, their effort, their energy, their resources in creating a space where people can come and share. And so if you are going to go into that community and they're going to share their client base with you, then you need to give them something back. And most communities ask anywhere from 10% to 50% of whatever it is that you take in as a result of being in their you know, operating in their space and operating from their client base. And I think that's fair. If you have questions, scribble them down, because I'm going to go right into what most travelers expect of communities when they go. When I show up in a community, I expect that the community, whatever it is they say they're going to do, that they do. If they say they're going to provide a place for me to park my rig and that's it, thank you, then I just expect a place to park my rig. But if they say that they're going to provide me a client base, or you know, they're going to promote whatever it is that I do, then I expect more than half a person to show up. You know, I expect at least some work having been done on their part in order to let people know that I'm there. Whether that be that they already have an event going on and I'm introduced as a part of that event, or whether they actually send out flyers and do all this stuff. And usually that determines what their percentage is. You know, if they're going to send out flyers and do all this stuff, then they're going to get a higher percentage, of course, than if I just show up and sit down and whoever comes by is whoever comes by. The other thing that most people expect when they go into a community is that once they are there, that the people who are promoting them get to know what they're doing. I personally usually do a free whatever it is for the leader of the community so that they'll know what I do. It's the easiest way to get them to know what it is that I do, rather than trying to tell them, because I don't know, actions speak louder than words. And you get to understand things much clearer if you're experiencing it than you do if someone's talking about it. So that's the groundwork of the Lightworkers Brigade. Now, what I've done, I have lists of stores and whatnot that I have interacted with, stores, communities, and I also have lists of people that do different kinds of work, be it Reiki or tarot card readings or creating elixirs or whatever, who are interested in moving about from community to community. These things I'm more than willing to share. I have my business cards up here, and I can give you my cards so that you can, drop me a note and say, I need this, I want a copy of those lists or whatever. Eventually, the Lightworkers Brigade, the overall vision of it is that you would carry a membership card and the stores would have a membership card. They would know exactly who you are, what your qualifications are, and everything when you show up. Because your little face would be there in their little book already. And the stores, you would have a list of every community and every store that is a part of the brigade, so you could actually show up and know exactly what you're doing before you get there. You'd have phone numbers and contacts and everything. Questions? I don't go on forever, really. So if somebody has a question or you want some clarification on something, speak up. Yes.
Do you see a lot of communities developing in the near future?
Oh, yes. Yes. They seem to rise and fall. And that's just a part of the development. A lot of people have a vision of wanting to create a community, and it sort of comes up, but it's got all kinds of glitches and whatnot in it, and so it falls away. The ones that seem most successful are the ones like this. We're still extremely individual, extremely individualistic, and so we kind of want, it's like, well, I don't want anybody telling me what to do. Well, I want to be on my own timetable. Well, and it's very difficult to live in community without doing some compromise. It's, you have to, it's sort of like being married to 50 people instead of one. Because you have to compromise and fit with everybody that you're with, as opposed to just fitting with one partner. All of a sudden you've got, 50 partners or however many people that are in the community.
Look at the ants, they do it in trouble.
That's right. So do bees. But the bees have a queen. Yes?
I have been traveling world quite a lot, all over the world.
Uh-huh.
And I have been taken to communities just by flow.
Yes.
And I found that it is not easy to find for others. For me it was easy, I just somehow have been attracting people. But for others, they have been not. When I came back to Canada, I went to Valiant Bookstore, I went to Permaculture Bookstore, and I went to a number of places and asking, do you have any lists or anywhere to know who was starting what? And they said, this is too hard, they said.
Everyone has said it's too hard, and every time this is my, it's been my baby, and I've played around with it for a couple of years. And I just kind of build it as I go, because communities do start and they stop, and people, they quit working for the government or Boeing or whatever, and they're going to go off and be a psychic healer or a Reiki master and all of this. And after 2 weeks of not getting a paycheck, they're
stopped, and they're given to the just, to the unjust, to the heavy. They're just given. Where the inty bitty of question comes in my life at least, is to my willingness to let them in, to recognize. Because many of these here, as I look, gift to safety. Oh my God, I think I have to make myself, have to buy some locks and do some door, going through the whole safety bit, rather than saying, hey, I am paranoid as hell, God. Where is your safety here? I'm still buying locks. I'm still sometimes even thought once about buying a gun. For safety for this planet. The more guns, the safer. The ego, the fox logic. But very seldom like to invite the gift of safety. The gift of supportive friends. The minute I think that I will let some supportive friends in, that they might control me, there's a fear, you see. But that's not being true supportive friends. So we still have so many conditioned reflexes in our psyche which are tension patterns, which is good, which is bad, and we remember, and after a while, in a school system, if you're somewhere close to, well, I sampled many. I went, I think, to 18 different schools in 5 language changes within 3 languages. So I saw a good cross-section of our educational system. And one of the main ones was pay attention. I mean, we were kids. We're looking outside the sunshine days, beautiful, and all of a sudden, bang, pay attention, hotels. Like there was a threat connected with it. And of course, soon I learned that to pay attention was to create a tension pattern as if I'm looking at the backboard. And that was the price of attention to remember where I was looking. Then I go on daydream. Am I different from you guys?
No.
I'm not in the wrong pew now.
No.
Okay. Okay. So really, any tension or stress pattern is a disease. Bar none. Someone says you have to have tension patterns, you have to make plans. The thought came back. God doesn't make any plans. Nobody's going to jump in and argue with that. Why would God make plans? Because it's how powerful He is good. God doesn't say, I'm going to plan this, create attention, and then I'm going to deliver it. And then some idiot is going to say, I want to know God's plan for it. I want to know God's plan for me. God doesn't have any plans. So the ego makes one up, I'll give one to you. If you want God's plan, let's give him a few. You know. And here let me divert a bit about the fox energy. Somebody says, well, what do you mean the fox that is first one to volunteer to look after chicken? In my rational mind of rationalizations, and the word rationalize means to rationalize, isn't it? Okay. So in order to rationalize, I had to make a big, huge excuse system, and I would say that Colonel Sanders is the fox that can rationalize to the nth degree, number one, that he has made more people like chicken than anybody else. And he can prove it. He can rationalize that he has created more housing for chicken than anybody else ever since history of mankind. Colonel Sanders could also argue that he has increased chicken population. And Colonel Sanders also says that he looks after the old age of chicken while he's increasing the population. No old age problem. And we can go on and on and on. You see, that ego likes to rationalize things and go into proofs. Yet, earlier I said among these simple cards, hardly any of them can be proven. Even friendship I had. Gift of supportive friends. Friendship can actually be proven? Can joy be proven? Can love be proven? Can trust be proven? All these things. Yet they're the most deepest touching thing. We talk about souls here and souls there. If there is a soul, This is the deepest touching thing there is that's on these kids. We all know it's real. Gee whiz, try to prove it in a court of law. Doesn't work. Within any adversary system, be it court of law, be it medicine, be it whatever, where something fights somebody, and we have already assumed that those foxes who have volunteered to look after our peace, called justice of peace, or I don't care, I'm not trying to put anyone down within this. But what I'm saying is that we have created categories and projected this stuff all over, where in a sense, God is simple. Ego is complex. God is unity in one. Ego is separation, diversity, the whole bit. Now my fox, when I realize the separation is, oh my God, I have to bring all of them together. I'm the first one to volunteer. And the minute I'm volunteering, I recognize I'm already part. The fox has got me. Because I cannot create any more unity than I can create love. One time, I remember, actually my ex-wife, I actually felt guilty because she said, promise that you will love me, that this and this, and somewhere I thought, maybe I don't, because if I have to promise, it means I come, and somehow I felt it would be a lie, as if I could come up with love and then give it to somebody. And I've been hiding that fact for probably most of my adult life, until I think it was once I read in the Course in Miracles or whatnot, that wasn't impossible. Because to think that we can create or come up with love means that we can create God. The truth is the other way around. We don't create God, we don't create love, we don't create trust. And for me, the nicest thing to promise was this. Was I could say, of course, I'm willing to see love's presence with you at all, as long as I can. Total willingness. But the promise to come up with this, I realized it is not within my scope. What a relief. Same thing about joy, about trust, about all the spiritual things. That when the fox comes in and says, I'm going to look after it, there's already a struggle being through. So in my journey, although I have many faces, because my ego has many faces, my most meaningful journey has been that of unlearning. What a beautiful place here for me to be this weekend, to further go in unlearning, because there's so much love in every rock, there's so much something is in here, okay, that I can just, for once, I can sort of let go of all my conditionings and just start seeing, oh wow, there's something so much better coming past all that into my life, just being here. Anyone experienced that here? So with that, let's go back again to simplicity. All these cards, although there's about 110 gifts, and people start asking, well, what do you mean by this gift? What do you mean by this gift? How do you explain this? And I mean, I can come from the fox's side and do explanations. But what my wife and I found out was more intriguing when we asked the guidance. And each time someone would ask, they dictated through my wife, and I was just the secretary writing these things down. And I just cut open, like each one of them that you have, there's already a book that's explaining that. And I'll read about gift of simplicity. So sorry I'm boring you, Tor.
Don't forget my shoes.
Car windows.
Yeah, I need one like
Let's
that
pick
too.
another.
We take a break for 1 second.
Windows.
We all have windows.
Sure.
We don't have to worry about ours, do we?
I do.
I'll be right back.
Simplicity.
Praise the Lord. It's coming down.
I've got to go check on the. Can I keep an eye out?
We'll level it up.
Well, it's pretty level. I got to check on the massage
Okay,
too.
5 minutes recess, close the windows.
All right, 5 minutes recess.
And consequences. But we soon find that any of our solutions, however complicated and involved they may be, go nowhere. We find now that we are given a very simple solution. We are given the solution of a higher power. We are given a solution of a simple program. We are given the gift of simplicity. And somehow this whole place here reflects that. Simplicity is not tunnel vision, nor is it a lack of intelligence or knowing. The truly simple life has all knowing and understanding. It allows in everything, all ideas, awareness, and perception. The gift of simplicity then is a gift that guides us to a simple solution amidst all answers and all direction. To simplify is not to exclude. It is to allow in everything so that the best answer may be given. Discussing with Sean the process, it was amazing how you were describing this. With our higher power in charge of our lives, obtaining the best answers and the most appropriate solutions becomes simple. The direction becomes clear. What is for everyone's highest good becomes evident. The gift of simplicity is a gift of our higher power. For with our higher power, all answers are simply to let in more peace and more joy into our lives. The gift of simplicity is a simple solution. The solution of our higher power. We may, for simplicity's sake, invite any of the gifts, for that matter, because sooner or later we start to recognize that they all mean pretty well the same thing. They're interchangeable. Takes a while, though. My favorite is the gift of ease. And I will use the term God in probably the broadest sense, because I think semantically we have sort of abused the term. But if we look at the broadest sense, then forgive me, I'll use the term. God has been known as love. God has been known as peace. God has been known as power. There are many adjectives and many words, as trust, as faith, as so many things. And I decided, well, if God is that powerful and that intelligent and all those things, then of course God is also ease, with capital E. God is not that God gives us ease, God is the ease. And that did, I was meditating on that for perhaps a whole year, on and off, on and off. And that was somewhere in, I think, 82. What was the year of Olympics in LA?
84.
84. I remember, did anyone watch the male marathon? Okay. They started to run, okay, male bang, and they start to run off. And of course, the announcers were quite lean because they were from the United States that we were watching. And as the runners took off, they all sort of started laughing because they said, well, this guy is leaping too far ahead too quickly because unless he paces himself, he will lose. And then they talked, well, yeah, after all, he is from Portugal, and they don't have the high-tech knowledge that we have. And they sort of made some comments that were just a little bit off color. And now, as you know, as the runners run through the stations where, they give water, this guy didn't take any water, if you remember. And now they said, well, we can almost count, minutes before he will drop, because scientifically dehydration takes place, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But as it went about hour and a quarter into the marathon, now this guy was still in front of them. But I mentioned to my wife, I said, there's something much different about this character because he is running with ease. It almost felt that if there had been a mother and a baby fallen down, he would probably go pick it up and say, he would just keep on running. There was none of this stress and strain. Now, if you remember the end of that, by this time, the announcers start changing their story a little bit. And in the end, they show the runners come into that stadium. This guy was way ahead. He was running in. Instead of collapsing across the finish line, he went across, he looked around, and in the stadium he saw somebody with Portuguese flag, if you remember. He went and grabbed the flag, and then he ran another lap around this whole place when the other two contenders for the medals were coming in, just trying to push and pull, and they were just coming from self-will so much that they collapsed across the line. I think they were really wanting to see who's going to get the silver and who's going to get the bronze. Now, in the middle of all this, I like to somehow illustrate that perhaps God's gifts are themselves intelligent, are invigorating, we need not add. And this guy obviously had let go and run with ease. Now we can sort of say a few other things. He ran with God. Now in healing field, the opposite comes, like the contrasts. I mean, we have this place built by someone who wanted to get out of the adversary profession. Let's kill the disease, let's fight it, let's fight something stronger, bullets stronger, this, which is already in the psyche creates the adversary condition, and then it perpetuates because the fox is there. Now, Jonathan keeps on talking about semantics. He loves us. I just overheard him, we this. But the very word dis-ease, or I like to spell it dis-ease, tells it all. Now, these guys, about this big and the smaller ones outside,